Sir. All right, being 6:36, we'll call the special committee of the whole meeting, Monday, March 4th. All right, call to order. Roll call has been taken. Correct. All right, we got roll call. Adoption of the agenda.
Make the motion.
Motion made by Mr. Besaw,
Second.
second by Mr. Fache. Any additions or corrections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, next on the agenda is consider an offer to purchase the property at 401 South Pearl Street by the Cornerstone Holdings of Wisconsin LLC in the amount of $75,000. I will open the floor for discussion. You should all have received the memorandum in your packet as well, as well as the offer letter.
Okay, so we're in discussion right away? Okay,
Yep.
I guess my question is, how many lots are there and what has been put into that lot? Is it, I know the museum library board purchased, or somebody purchased it and donated it. I was just wondering what was spent to razz the building and purchase all those lots. I'm just kind of curious how much of an investment is put into that.
So there were 4 lots at one time, and after the buildings were raised, the library museum board did request and went through a process to combine it into one lot because they wanted us. The original plan was to build on the one lot and then have the new library annex at that location. But it is currently one lot. As for the purchase price, the city was involved in one lot, and then the library museum board got donations for the other ones. I can't tell you right off the top of my head. If Ann was here, I'm sure she would know, how much it did cost for purchase and raising. I can get that information for the next council meeting, if you'd like that, but I don't have that.
Because one of them was donated to the library, the city, right?
Like I said, there were 4 lots there. The city purchased one, and then the library museum board, through donations, purchased the other. And then it was a combined effort between the city and the library museum board for the raising. So there was finances on both sides, the city and the library museum board. What those numbers were, I'd have to look them up and ask Anna.
Has this been the only interest?
Yep. We started marketing in the fall of 2022. This is the only offer that we have received since that time.
What did you have it on the market for?
It was just an RFP, just saying, give us your offers, and this is the first one. We were hoping that we would get several of them to evaluate, but that obviously wasn't the case. This was our first one that we received.
Has the library and museum board been a part of this discussion at all? What do they
So
think?
in the memorandum, it says, to begin evaluating the offer, the small ad hoc subcommittee was called again, consisting of Judy, Mayor Mark, Financing Chairman Dorsey, and 2 library museum board members. This is the same group that negotiated and proposed the plan for the joint sale of the property. So we did meet, 3 of us, and then 3 representatives from the library and museum board committee, which one is here present tonight as well in the audience.
How did you come up with the $75,000?
That was his offer. We didn't ask for that. We didn't put a number out. He came up with that offer. I can't tell you where he pulled that number from.
Do you know how much that lot is worth on the market?
So, some of the things that we went through.
That's what I'm looking
to talk about. To your point, was 75 good? Is it low? Is it high? So what I did is I looked at some other parcels near that area. So for example, 106 Wolf River Avenue. If you go to the GIS or the tax records. I can bring up the tax records for 106 Wolfburg Avenue. Obviously, it's developed, but if you do go to the tax records, they do have an indication here of what the assessable land is worth and then the building. So I looked at this number on several of the lots in the downtown. Obviously, they're all developed lots, but what I did was I looked at the acres and then the land value for some of those lots. And to try to get some apples to apples, what I did. What I did is I tried to get it to be what it would be per price per acre. So the lot across from the library museum right now is 0.67 acres. The offer price was 75,000. If you convert that to a price per acre, it'd be about $111,000. The one I just brought up in the tax records of 99 acres with an assessed value of 74,100 on the land. If you break that down for a price per acre, it's about 74,000. And I did that for a couple of their lots, or a couple other properties around that area. I tried to get something that's a little bit high and a little bit low, so you can kind of see assessed value for several of these lots in these areas, converted out, you know, this lot at a full acre was assessed at 61,000, and then 55,000 and 93,000. This one was a little bit more at 100,000, over 100,000. And then this one here at 610 Pearl, assessed at, if it was full acre, 55,000. So that was the best way for me to kind of get a comparison of what this offer price is compared to some of the other land values in the downtown, you know, within several blocks of that area. Does that make sense how I did that? It just kind of tried to come up with some comparisons, I guess. I also looked online. There's a website called LoopNet, has a lot of commercial retail property for sale. So these were some other examples of vacant property for sale that I saw on LoopNet. And then I converted that down to what a price per acre would be in this column right here in these different communities. So that was the best way I could give you some comparisons of what, you know, is 75 good? Is it low? Is it high? It's the best way I can come up with right there. Does that help?
Yeah, but normally what they do is somebody makes you an offer on it. The city would counter offer them. Say, try to squeeze a little more out of them. I mean, it's just the way it works. I mean, I'm happy with, I guess, with the 75,000, but I would think it'd be worth more than that.
Well, I mean, looking at these values, at price per acre.
Mr. Barrington.
My only concern is how much we tied into that for demolition. That I would like to see so that we
And
know
I
a
can,
little bit about what we've already spent. So that we're not, I don't know what it costs for demolition of those buildings. If I remember right, the city paid for that.
there was a joint effort, I believe, but I can get you that information. But I also want to point out, if you recall, at the last meeting, we talked about this. The city's not going to recoup any of this cost per se in the actual demolition. Whatever purchase price you're selling this for, it was agreed upon that would go towards the library museum project. If you guys remember that.
You think it's a conflict of interest at all that Mayor Mark is negotiating property with a sign for Mayor Mark for mayor in the window of Cornerstone? I mean, is that, you know, he's negotiating the property, but obviously.
I'm not negotiating nothing. This was an offer letter sent in. And I have business relations with, I think, just about everybody downtown and almost all the businesses in town.
So this 75,000, city is not gonna get any of that. Am I hearing you right? That's going toward what we said we're gonna pay the library fund, is that correct?
Correct. There was a meeting back in August of 2022. If you remember, the committee of the whole and the library
Yep.
museum board agreed at that point in time that both entities would agree on who would purchase, who the property would be sold to. And that it was agreed upon that the sale, the proceeds would go towards a new library project. That was agreed upon at that meeting.
At one time, didn't we make a comment that we were interested in what would be put on that lot?
Mhm.
So we could probably get something in the tax base?
I asked Jeff what his intentions were for the project, for the property. At that time, he wasn't sure yet. I think he just wanted to secure it so he has for future investment. But like I said in my memo, that how we can regulate it, number one, through zoning. So zoning is gonna regulate certain activities or certain uses that can be done on the property. And then number two, and I made this crystal clear to Mr. Brigham, it's in the TID district. So if you're interested in a TID grant, we have the opportunity to negotiate that. Obviously, it's gotta come to the council for final approval, but that's another carrot that we have through that grant to negotiate what can be done in that property. If he doesn't want the grant, well, then he can do whatever he wants if it's within zoning regulations. But if he's interested in a grant, then the negotiations would start. It would come to the common council for final approval for a grant. And then the council would have to, accept and be good with that project as well. So we still have a carrot if he wants to take a hold of a grant.
So if it's zoned commercial right now, would he be able to break it up into 4 lots again and sell it as residential at all?
I don't think residential per se. If he would want to break it up or rezone it, that would have to go through the planning commission to do anything like that. And off the cuff, I don't think the plan commission would support changing it to something that's way different. Plus, we'd have to look at our comprehensive plan, the future land use. We created this comprehensive plan, the state requires us to do that. We've got certain activity uses that are zoned, or not zoned, but on the map for certain areas, and that area is not designated for future residential. It's in the future land use map for commercial uses, and then in the zoning, it's also a commercial use as well. So it would be very challenging for him to go through to make it residential per se. Now, could there be residential upstairs and commercial downstairs? Mixed use? Absolutely. But just putting it to a strict residential parcels, I think that's kind of hard to go through.
I have two houses right outside of that plan.
Correct.
Right.
On the off of Pearl Street, not on
Right.
Pearl Street.
Right, but I mean, they're. So it's gotta be zoned.
The two parcels on that block, on the west end of that block, currently have residential use. Yep. Correct. I believe he owns the parcel at 111 or at Cook Street. Yes.
I always thought that would be like an apartment build or, something for not individual residential houses, but
Multifamily.
a housing development of some sort. Not enough of it.
Like I said, our current comp plan indicates that as a commercial type application. Now, I mean, if it's something that a development comes through that you guys, the plan commission, are all thumbs up for, there's a process to go through to rezone things and update our land use map in the comp plan, but again, right now, that's what's indicated in the future land use map.
I think mixed use or something, but we're not here to talk about that. I'd like to see a little higher offer, but
It sounds like, according to, Mr. Ritchie over here, he said that that's pretty much protocol is to counter with something.
normally when you buy a piece of property, the owner's got it set at a certain price, okay? So say John, I got a piece of property and John wants to buy it. John comes in and offers me a price. Well, then the owner will come back with a price and they try to meet in the middle of the two prices that were offered. That's normally how it works.
I think by having the property in a TID district, it is attractive that, you got 4 properties. What do you buy a lot for nowadays? If you do $25,000 a piece, that's 100,000. I say,
Yeah, but right now it's only one property because they combine them together.
Mhm.
So you're only selling one piece of property.
Also, you guys should know that the library and museum board is also voting on this. It has to be a joint agreement. It's not just up to council.
And to your question, Tim, in my memo report that they're gonna be talking about this on the 18th. So before the next council meeting, the library museum board will be discussing and potentially voting on it as well.
Is there a way you could take what we discussed to the library board and let them in that?
Yes, sir. You go into their meeting.
What?
Yes. You are all welcome to go to any public meeting you want to, as well as the public.
I just asked you a question.
I'll just point out, I mean, looking at these prices here, I mean, at the full acreage, I mean, like I said, if this was a full acre and his asking price was related to that, I'm looking at over 111,000. Some of these other ones, the value right there is, his value for what he's offering right now is above all that.
Lynn, do you have any, thing that you'd like to say in representation of the library and museum board?
I don't know what we would, I don't know by attempting to negotiate with him. Coming from the point of view of where, like, desperate for funds, and it's the only offer that we've gotten. I mean, there's been you guys did an RFP that did nothing, I don't think he's gonna put anything that, it's just my personal opinion, he has not expressed anything to me one way or the other, but knowing him is not friends with Murray, but just looking at what he's done, I don't think he's gonna put anything up there that's questionable, anything he puts up there is likely gonna contribute to the tax base. I think the price is fair based on the comparisons that Jan did, so it's just a gravel lot. So to get 75 grand for a bunch of gravel is pretty good. Especially since we haven't had any other offers. If we had gotten somewhere with the RFP and had to turn away somebody during the RFP process, that'd be totally different, but it doesn't really seem like anybody's interested in that.
And I have had no other inquiries by anyone since then. I've been kind of pumping it out and talking to people, but I haven't gotten any other inquiries since we started marketing this at all in the past.
I'll make a motion to accept the offer.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Roberts, who second? Mr. Hess, any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried by all. Next, adjournment.
Make a motion adjourned.
Motion made,
Second.
second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Belinda.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.